You know that one kid in class who never seems stressed, barely opens a textbook the night before, and still walks out with a 95? You've probably called them lucky, gifted, built different. I used to think that too, until I actually watched how they studied. And it wasn't luck. It wasn't even talent. It was a system. A hidden system that lets them study less and remember more. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what it is. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of us were taught to study wrong. Not lazy wrong, effort wrong. We were taught that the answer to falling behind is simple. Do more. Read the chapter again. Highlight another paragraph. Sit at the desk another hour. So that's what we do. We grind. We suffer. And somehow the smart kids are doing a third of the work and beating us anyway.
So what's actually going on?
The hidden difference: input versus output.
Most students treat studying like filling a jar. Pour more hours in, get more knowledge out. But that's not how memory works. Your brain isn't a jar, it's a muscle. And muscles don't grow from being poured into. They grow from being worked. The smart kids aren't absorbing more information. They're retrieving it more. Every time they quiz themselves, every time they close the book and try to recall a concept from memory, they're doing a rep. And just like at the gym, fewer, harder reps beat hours of passive motion every time. That's the entire hidden system. It's called retrieval-first studying. And once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Myth 1. Rereading equals learning. Let's kill this one first. Rereading feels productive. Your eyes move across familiar words, your brain lights up with recognition, and it tricks you into thinking, yeah, I know this. But recognition isn't recall. You can recognize your neighbor's face without being able to describe it from memory. Same thing happens with your notes. Studies on this are brutal. Passive rereading sits at around a 10% retention rate a week later. That means for every hour you spend rereading, you're keeping about 6 minutes of it long term. The other 54 minutes, gone. And the scary part is you won't feel it happening because familiarity fakes competence right up until the exam. Myth 2. More hours means more mastery. This is the one that burns people out. We treat study time like a badge of honor. 6 hours at the desk must mean you're serious. But time on task means nothing if your brain isn't actively working during that time. Picture 2 students. One studies for 6 hours, mostly rereading and rewriting notes. The other studies for 90 minutes, quizzing themselves and explaining concepts out loud with the book closed. The second student will outperform the first almost every time. Not because they're smarter, because they spent their time doing the one thing that actually builds memory, forcing the brain to retrieve, not just receive. So how do the smart kids actually structure their time? 3 moves. Move 1, retrieval before review. Before they even open their notes, high performers ask themselves what they already remember. They'll grab a blank sheet and write down everything they know about a topic first. Cold, no notes. Only after that do they check what they missed. This flips the entire process. Instead of using their notes as the main event, they use them as a scoreboard, a way to see exactly where the gaps are. This one shift does something powerful. It turns every study session into a test, and tests are what actually build long-term memory. Passive review just builds false confidence.
Move 2. Teaching as the finish line. Here's a pattern you'll find in almost every high performer's routine. They don't consider a topic done until they can explain it simply, out loud, to someone else, or even to an empty room. This is sometimes called the Feynman approach. If you can't explain a concept in plain language, you don't actually understand it yet. Try this tonight. Pick whatever you're studying and explain it out loud in under 60 seconds, like you're teaching a 12-year-old. You'll hit a wall almost immediately at whatever part you don't actually understand. That wall is the most valuable thing you'll find all night, because now you know exactly what to fix, instead of rereading everything and hoping something sticks.
Move 3. Spacing instead of cramming. The final piece is timing. Smart studiers don't binge a topic once and move on. They touch it multiple times, spaced further and further apart. Learn it Monday, quiz yourself Wednesday. Test yourself again the following Monday with 0 notes. Each time you successfully pull the information back out of memory after a gap, that memory gets stronger and more durable. Cramming feels efficient because it's fast, but your brain treats crammed information as temporary, disposable, not worth keeping. Spaced retrieval tells your brain the opposite. You keep coming back to this, so it must matter. Keep it. Put those 3 moves together and you get something powerful. A study session that's shorter, harder, and dramatically more effective than hours of passive rereading. Why this feels so counterintuitive? Here's why almost nobody does this naturally. Retrieval is uncomfortable. Struggling to remember something feels like failing. Rereading feels good because it's easy and it feels like progress. But that discomfort you feel when you're straining to recall something with a book closed, that's not a sign you're bad at studying. That's literally the sensation of your memory getting stronger. If it doesn't feel a little hard, it's probably not working. This is the actual gap between the students who seem to coast and the students who are exhausted and still falling behind. It was never about hours. It was about what happens inside those hours. How to start tonight. You don't need to overhaul your entire routine tomorrow. Pick one subject you have coming up. Before you open your notes, spend 5 minutes writing down everything you remember about it. No peeking. Then, open your notes and only focus on what you missed. After that, close everything and explain the topic out loud like you're teaching it to someone who's never heard of it. That's it. Retrieve, correct, teach. 3 steps, maybe 20 minutes, and you'll retain more from that one session than from 2 hours of rereading. The smart kids were never working with some secret gift the rest of us don't have. They just stopped confusing effort with results. Once you make that switch, less time becomes more knowledge, and the grind you thought you needed stops being necessary at all. If this shifted how you think about studying, hit like and subscribe so you don't miss the next breakdown. And drop a comment telling me which subject you're going to test this on tonight. I want to see your glow up.